people will stop looking at them as kind of just finding some fluke wins here against some of our top squads.
And then we saw the matchup between Eminem and K2. I believe the Ezreal will be such an important pickup. But when we saw Eminem back then, still pretty skilled on the Aphelios, makes me wonder if the Berjaya Dragons is, willing to put that on K2 or willing to give that away just to get, that fallback comfort pick on K2's side.
You can see now as far as bans go, Berjaya are going to be on your blue side. Hong Kong Attitude are on the red. Varus and Zoe going to be taken away on the side of Berjaya. Meanwhile, HKA getting rid of that Syndra pickup, which has been, as always, popular when it comes to the PCS. We saw Mission yesterday have a decent game on it, and it's always been one of the go-to pickups from now on.
Yeah, I wonder what else they would remove, considering the fact that, Moonblack didn't have the best games on the LeBlanc, so I feel like the Dragons will be very comfortable leaving that out in the open. In the meantime, though, we did mention how important it is. I wonder if Enzo will go fall back to the Trundle for, I believe, the 4th time already. And there you go. HKA does not want to give away the Ezreal, but Aphelios is open for the taking. Question is, will K2 play that champion?
All right, so no Yuumi either on the side of Berjaya. So, like we asked, will K2 decide to go with the Aphelios, or are we going to see a different priority? We've also seen the Aphelios be left over toward red side in favor of something like this Trundle pick here, where it looks like that wants to be, we mentioned 4th time was the charm for Enzo. Maybe the 5th time will be too as it gets locked in.
Yeah, 3 times it feels like, Enzo does not really want to leave this champion despite having to experience 3 losses. But yeah, 4th time's the charm. It just also means that they're very confident to give away Aphelios on the side of Eminem. So I believe they have answers. They're very confident. And we'll see what the matchup is going to be, what Paulo decides to pick, as Lee Sin was his really, really nice performance yesterday.
All right, so there we go. Aphelios as well as the Thresh getting locked in for the Hong Kong Attitude bot lane of Eminem and Tak. Tak had himself a rather okay performance, I do believe, last time we saw him on the Thresh. But Eminem, carry performance when it came to his Aphelios, was able to pick up the MVP in the previous match that we saw of Hong Kong Attitude back in week 1. For Berjaya, are we really going to see a fallback to this Misfortune pickup? We're not a huge fan of the champion anymore, but it is going to get locked in.
I'm a little bit worried because, yes, Misfortune really scales really well, especially when the 5v5s, great AoE in comparison to, I suppose. But the Aphelios is so much stronger later on, and I'm a little bit worried. And it just feels like the Dragons is just very comfy to let bot lane chill for a little bit and allow the carries to roam. And I feel like it will be very scary if HKA will decide to punish this quite vulnerable bot lane.
So we'll see if that's going to be the solution here, as that's also going to be a Nautilus getting locked in for Delulu. Loves roaming on the champion. Wouldn't be shocked if we see him go for an immediate gank toward the mid lane on the first back. It's not out of the question, as well as been able to, pick up the surprise kill here and there, especially when he was up against Machi in that lane against Bruce. HK going to go ahead, lock in the Lee Sin in the jungle for Hollow once again.
And for the next rotation of bans, I am not going to be surprised if they decide to remove the Mordekaiser. Ozzy has been performing really well in that champion, and therefore you're trying to remove any sort of tools in the late game 5v5. So that's going to be the Ornn taken out, and we'll have to see what the Dragons decide to remove, possibly removing something that Moonblack decides to pick. Honestly speaking, though, he has a lot of pocket picks, so it's really hard to pinpoint what he's going to decide to pick.
I'm interested. Are we actually going to see another Fiddlesticks, or are they going to actually ban it on the side of Berjaya? PSG, they were playing with their food a little bit during the draft yesterday. They hovered it, and then they're like, wait a sec, you can't pick that. That's illegal. And then they just got stomped by this, Fiddlesticks in the mid lane that just goes into this tank build. That's just absolutely annoying to deal with, at the very least. LeBlanc is going to be banned out here by Berjaya, and then the top lane being the main focus from Hong Kong Attitude with an Ornn and Mordekaiser ban.
Yeah, the Trinity mid lane is already gone. Syndra, LeBlanc, and as well as that Zoe. Again, they're trying to remove any sort of high impact at the early phases of the game, any sort of utility to help peel for the Aphelios. So makes me wonder what Moonblack is going to fall back this time around, as the Dragons still will ban the Jace. So therefore, it is a bit of respect for each of the top laners, Kartis and Ozzy, for their performance yesterday.
All right, so there we go. Jace getting banned away, so Cardinals won't have that up in the top lane. Now for Hong Kong Attitude, we'll see what they want to try and save this counter pick for. Do you just want to go ahead and lock in something for Cardis, get that priority on a champion that you like to play, something like that Wukong that can provide a bunch of disruption to the back line? Looks like that's going to be the plan here as it gets locked in.
I wonder if we're going to be seeing the usual, the either maybe Gragas top or maybe the Malphite top that we've seen playing against into the Wukong. And, you know, Twisted Fate has been one of those really nice key picks to propel the early to mid game, especially when you want to try and take advantage to slow down the pace for this enemy Aphelios. And I will be really, really scared for Eminem.
Yeah, the Twisted Fate overall globally has just spiked in popularity. I know it was played, I think, 2 or 3 times over in LCS earlier today. It's been kind of a go-to pick now for the LPL, as well as a couple of LCK mid laners have also been picking it up. Provides a lot of pressure across the map once you hit that level 6. For Ozzy in the top lane here, though, he is going to go ahead, go with the Renekton into this Wukong matchup.
Yeah, see? To me, that's a hover. I will not rejoice or react just yet before anything else. It's actually no question if they do lock in interesting picks. I mean, it's Moonblack. He played Fizz and Heimerdinger last time at the LMS and was very confident about it and has won a couple of games. And 4 seconds on the clock.
Right,
they're just exciting us. It's the Orianna.
And that's, you know, the bouncy castle already getting locked in. You're going to have a Wukong Cyclone into a, you know, Shockwave from Orianna, and then you get the second activation of the Wukong ultimate. That's 3 knockups during a team fight. And if you're able to catch out any of the 2 squishy members on Berjaya, that is likely an instant death combo coming out from Hong Kong Attitude. So both Maoan and K2 are going to have to be very careful when it comes to their positioning during these team fights.
Exactly, mid to late game, if given the chance that HKA can really scale, I'd be very, very afraid for the Dragons. But on the other hand, though, there is a lot of answers. You've got really easy single target CC in the form of, you know, Delulu's Nautilus, and as well as the gold card from this Twisted Fate. So I'd be really afraid for Eminem in particular if they're not very careful with positioning.
Yeah, and reminder for HKA, they're currently sitting 3-1 in the standings. Berjaya actually mirror that with a 1-3 record. So for HKA, if they can solidify a solid victory here up against Berjaya, it actually puts them heavily in the running for a team that could possibly looking at possibly securing one of the 2 World Championship seeds when it comes to the PCS.
And it's absolutely contrasting. Again, you know, HKA was sitting at 8th, almost didn't even make it to playoffs last spring.
Well, we're going to see how this one's going to play out. Of course, this is our first game of the day. We still got 5 more games after this. Berjaya Dragons taking on Hong Kong Attitude as we load on into the Rift.
Welcome to Summoner's Rift.
Back we go for another day of the PCS. I'll be frank, I'm hoping for some more entertaining games, I would say, compared to what we saw yesterday. Unfortunately, we had a couple of just, you know, best way to put it, we had some snooze fests. I'm not gonna lie. We had a couple games where people were like, we'll just farm for 30 minutes and then, you know, one team fight. Boom, there we go, end of game. Considering how HKA have been playing, though, recently, it is refreshing to see this out of this new squad of players that have joined the organization, where you have, you know, kept Hollow still on the roster, and he's actually been able to perform rather well compared to what we saw back when he was sharing time with Kabu back in spring.
Yeah, exactly. Imagine that 2 out of the 5 players are intact. It is not Eminem and Wing. It is Eminem and Tak in the bottom side of the map. And because of these large roster changes and they've managed to adjust with this arrangement, it is pretty commendable, I have to say. And for HKA, again, a lot of trust on having to sort of sail safely towards this late game, because I'm pretty scared. There's a lot of answers to access that backline, and for Eminem, definitely has to be careful.
We already see a lot of vision getting denied as Delulu was maybe thinking about going for a hook there on top. Enzo has made his way on down, has that red buff. Hook is going to land immediately onto the Thresh, and over the wall they go. Enzo gets the pillar down. The Thresh will be able to get back to safety, but that is, of course, going to be a summoner burned by K2, actually, and Enzo. When I don't really think they needed to go for that. They should have been happy just getting that heal and flash out of the bot lane of HKA.
It just means that, Enzo will not have any sort of safety. But on the other hand, though, you've got priority at least over a bot and as well as mid. So that's going to help heaps as, Enzo is making his way trying to get Polo's camps out of the way.
And luckily there for Hollow, he actually went straight buff to buff, so he actually didn't get that stolen away by Enzo. Enzo was kind of, pathing, kind of feeling like the jungle was already his own, but had to respect it, considering that vision was already being denied by the Thresh on the initial invade. So nicely done here, at least trying to make an impact. I do like to see it, especially with the PCS Trundle curse that we had back in spring, where, we'd maybe see one of those ganks every, 10 minutes, once a game, if that.
Yeah, it's like you will barely see Trundle come out of the jungle after 10 minutes. So I suppose there are two curses, the Trundle curse and the Kaisa curse. So far, it has been lifted, and as well as the Trundle for Enzo, as it is the 4th times the charm, as Berjaya was on their way to a 4th loss streak, but yesterday they managed to get their first win. In the meantime, though, it has been a full control for Berjaya Dragon so far, as HKA, again, they can do what they can do is really play safe. They do not have to be pressured about early objectives for now.
And that's the other thing that I kind of find interesting when it comes to the PCS and the Trundle pickup is a lot of players kind of just play him like a power farmer, which in most cases, you want to see him early when you look at other regions. So I'm glad to start seeing that kind of playstyle transition back here into the region. Hollow already on his first back, not actually going to fully complete his first jungle component, but just picking up some long swords. And honestly, I have a feeling we're going to have ourselves a rather quiet game until we start hitting that level 6, where we now expect Malon on that Twisted Fate to start pressuring these side lanes.
Yeah, and the fact that Moonblack has carried Cleanse and Flash, which means Moonblack cannot exactly catch up whenever Malon decides to go over the different parts of the map.
All right, we see Delulu not afraid to go in for a quick tussle, but is going to be a little bit taken down here on low, and unfortunately gets taken down. Exhaust comes through. First blood going on over to the Lee Sin, and Hong Kong Attitude striking first on the map, picking up 2 kills in the river.
Beautifully done, and Moonblack did not match the back and waited for the wave to clear out first, and because of, Mawan wanting to go back to base, and that is going to be an easy response, an easy collapse coming from Moonblack and the rest of the squad, especially bot lane as well.
Yeah, that's good timing, too, because you needed to try and get a play like that before level 6, or else the Twisted Fate can easily answer back this play. It starts off with Delulu, just trying to get in the face of Hollow, even knowing there's a Thresh around the corner.
Yeah, absolutely. They really wanted to challenge this, and the back was perfectly timed too, because Eminem was still around, and unfortunately K2 just got back to base, so they were absolutely outnumbered in the back timings this time around.
And that's been kind of a common thread we've been starting to see actually with Delulu. We praise him for being aggressive on the Nautilus, but it has come back and bit him before, and now to start the game off 0-2, on top of that, at least they are able to trade back the first dragon before the Rift Herald spawns.
Yeah, I feel like this is the plan in mind for HKA. They're able to sort of counterattack the aggression coming from the dragons, which is absolutely their intention, considering that they really want to slow down the pace of Eminem's growth on this Aphelios. And unfortunately, it backfired, and because HKA didn't go back first, they aren't able to gain control over the dragon, which is totally fine, considering, again, HKA is fine giving up early objectives for now.
I'll give it to Berjaya, though. They have been pretty consistent when it comes to getting this vision down into the jungle of Hollow, and they've been actually able to track him on a couple of different rotations, and I think that alone was enough to actually allow them to go for that Drake rather confidently, even though they lost on the previous fight.
Yeah, that's the thing, and it is according to plan for the Dragons' side, I suppose. Mawan, though, is already level 6. We'll have to see if the bot lane can set up a potential dive, and we'll see whether or not Hollow can catch up and keep track and make sure he's there for the counter gank.
Some liberal use of wards here, control wards actually, just to clear out some, you know, wards here and there. I think they just want to make sure that Malon doesn't get, you know, lost within the fog of war of Berjaya Dragon's jungle if you're on the side of Hong Kong Attitude. Hollow might be looking to make appearance, is not level 6, but the level 6 is there from Moonblack. Shockwave does land, but unfortunately Hollow just kind of walks into lane and says, I can't really do anything just yet.
Yeah, there were a lot of minions blocking the way of Hollow, so not a lot of options for him to reach for that Q, dive in towards Mawan, and no summoner spells actually being used, so a lot of patience on Mawan's side, considering, again, the rest of the members of the Dragons were at the opposite side of the river, therefore response is going to be easy coming from this Malaysian squad.
We say Malaysian squad. Is Malaysian?
Yes, Malaysian-based organization. Yes.
Well, I'm like, there's no Chile on the roster right now.
That's
well,
true. No Kagame, too. Yeah.
So Kagame actually, you know, he left the roster actually during the mid-season break. So it's now Chile, the lone Malaysian player, which he's been so far. But sitting on the bench, letting Delulu open up the split, which I don't know. I feel like they both kind of play a very similar style of game. We saw Chile always looking for roams too on his Nautilus, so I kind of feel like, you know, it's just same player, just a different name on it at this point when it comes to the playstyles between him and Delulu.
That's true. But I feel like Delulu is definitely more aggressive than Chile, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah. Well, okay, yeah, I think there's Chile aggression, which is like, he's calculated aggression. Delulu's like,
aggression, exactly.
I see you, I'm going to hook you, kind of
I'm gonna
aggression.
hook you.
I don't care if I'm
Exactly.
down like 2 members, I can get the CC down on this Karen, we can try and blow him up. Looks like Berjaya, though, looking to try and set up toward this Rift Herald. Hong Kong Attitude already, though, rotating the top with the bot side up toward the top half of the map, as well as Moonblack teleporting in mid.
Yeah, it just means they're really willing to try and contest this Rift Herald, see if they can deny. I mean, they have the capability for a steal anyways, considering that is a Lee Sin on their side. There's a lot of shields in the process. And in the meantime, though, we see the swap already as Ozzy making his way here at bot, already removing a couple of plates.
That's going to be a Twisted Fate ultimate, as well as the teleport coming down. We'll see whether or not they can actually find the collapse here on the Hong Kong Attitude, or is Berjaya just going to invest all that to see whether or not they can actually take down the Rift Herald. Hollow considering to go in. Depth Charge, though, is going to knock him out. A 3-man Shockwave into the back line, into the Cyclone, finds the knockup on 3 to 4 members. Cardis still alive, and guess what? Eminem was left untouched the entire time, and Berjaya is getting ripped apart within the river, as that's 3 kills over to Hong Kong Attitude. Maybe make it 4, as Hollow able to find a kill on the Twisted Fate.
Okay, that was insane. That was the second Shockwave of the game, and it worked out so well. No misses, 2 out of 2, and it catches 3 people into the Cyclone. That is an amazing wombo combo. And we did say, you know, HKA is just that confident in taking this this Rift Herald for themselves in the team fight.
Yeah, and this is the thing. I kind of feel like for Berjaya, you don't really see them come online here until they have 1 or 2 items onto the Misfortune, because just the amount of CC in the kit of Hong Kong Attitude in a fight like this outside the Baron Pit, that's an easy takeaway, considering Eminem was untouched the entire time.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the answer was supposed to be the Twisted Fate pick, the Renekton pick, but unfortunately everyone was basically in the front line and not exactly flanking, so therefore that Shockwave really did a lot, and Cardis did an amazing job following it up as well.
So not half bad. At least Berjaya able to funnel some turret plates on over to this Misfortune. Not able, though, to secure the first brick gold, which that's a little bit unfortunate. Hong Kong Attitude sit now at a 2,000 gold advantage with those 6 kills in their back pocket, but second dragon already started here by Berjaya.
And at the same time, you see Shockwave already online as well, but Moonblack's getting zoned a bit by Ozzy here. Let's see if there's going to be a steal.
He's got the flank. Gold card is going to be used immediately. That is going to be the stopwatch pops here by Tack. We'll see. Dragon has reset a little bit back into the pit, but you do see Berjaya not allowing it to fully heal back up. And with that, it will be their second dragon of the game.
Yeah, job well done by the Dragon still, as Cardis unfortunately did not have teleport at that time, and Ozzy was the one that rotated first in the Dragon. So if ever it was going to be a 4v5 situation, that I don't think HKA will be prepared, as, again, they need that second kid from that combo to make a devastating team fight in HKA's favor.
Exactly. So with that, Berjaya at least have been able to control the neutral objectives when it comes to the map. The fights may not be going exactly in their favor, but like we mentioned, we are still waiting on, you know, some item spikes to actually come online for the side of Berjaya. You're looking for that Infinity Edge, you're looking for the Essence Reaver for K2. Maon, once you get the full stacked Roa into a Lich Bane, he's going to start actually dealing some damage. It's still about, you know, 5 to 10 minutes before we really start to see this composition online and able to try and maybe contest Hong Kong Attitude. But again, positioning is crucial, because if both the Twisted Fate and the Misfortune get caught out, it's game over.
Yeah, and I mean, you've got really low mobility champions and carries on the side of the Dragons, and that is just very easy, or rather quite easier, in landing a couple of these very scary CC on the side of HKA. So I'd be really, really worried for K2 and Mawan, considering, again, they're quite a little bit of sitting ducks into the team fight sometimes.
We also got ourselves an Infernal Soul, so it actually allows the teams to path through the jungle, and I almost kind of like that for Berjaya. It allows them to actually find some more exits when it comes to these jungle fights, so they're not going to always go into a choke point up against Moonblack. Look at this, though. Hong Kong Attitude setting up a nasty little trap here, and over the wall, in they go. The knockup is there. Maon, nowhere to run. It's the kick into the Cyclone combo, and there you go. That's a dead Twisted Fate.
Perfect. There's no flash, and again, Twisted Fate, not like you have any options to escape danger like that. So for HKA, a job well done. No threat whatsoever on towards top side, as you see that, you know, Renekton Ozzy is at the bottom side of the map, and therefore has to still respect Enzo, I suppose, and the potential rotation of Twisted Fate once he comes back online.
And there we are, 0-7 now for Hong Kong Attitude. Other than the objectives, they've had themselves a clean game, not giving over a single kill. Eminem as well has been able to at least farm up and be part of 5 assists, so that's going to give him some extra gold. Even though we didn't see the fellows get, you know, hyper funneled with turret plating gold, at least he's been able to be part of some of these fights to help catch him back up, as K2 has now finished his Essence Reaver. So that's about halfway to the point you want this Misfortune to be, until that bullet time is able to do some proper damage to your entire team. I think
Speaking of funneled gold, though, I believe the one who got a lot of funneled gold is Ozzy here on the Renekton, and we know how that story goes. They are the immediate answer around the mid game on towards these carries.
So Lulu gets himself the knockup, and Tack goes down extremely low. In comes the Twisted Fate as well, but they're not able to finish off the Thresh, so unfortunately just waiting a little bit on your Misfortune ultimate. Tack is going to be able to get himself back to base, but that is actually 3 Summoners burn just to save the Thresh.
Yeah, no flash exhaust and heal already for the side of Eminem, and look at that, they're still aiming for more.
You saw Hollow did tag him with the Q, but decided not to even use the kick. Mid lane, though, is open, so that'll allow Berjaya to get a little bit of damage, but they realize, hey, Lee Sin may be nearby. We don't want K2 getting caught out, especially with Moonblack also now finishing off his Ludens, where that Shockwave is going to do some devastating damage.
Exactly, on top of the Sword Boots as well. HKA pushing towards this mid lane, getting a little bit more control over, trying to set up the waves before they make their way towards that Rift Herald. Everyone else, though, from the Dragons are a little bit scattered off the map. It seems to me they're conceding this objective.
Yeah, with that, it doesn't look like Berjaya, for once here, did not get any priority in the side lane or that mid lane. HK were able to answer back, and with that, that's their first Rift Herald of the game. Let's see, 5 members here in mid. They might just decide to pop it immediately and try and just get the heavy push.
Ozzy has teleport. Looking at any deep vision for him to teleport in, there is one over near that blast cone by that blue buff, but unfortunately I think he's gonna try and manually walk back, and I feel like Berjaya Dragons is just willing to play defensive, as they want to, you know, keep the resources still. That's a huge chunk of damage coming from Moonblack.
You do see, we also have the Infernal Drake now starting to spawn. So for Berjaya, they're hoping to find a little bit of priority here in this mid lane, but HKA looks like they've said, all right, we know we can take some of these fights. We're not afraid anymore, and it's shown here that, all right, Cardis had to use a Cyclone to get himself back to safety. So that's one ultimate they'd like back, but don't matter. They're the ones that want to go ahead and start up the Infernal.
Berjaya wants to get this Dragon to make it 3 points, 1 point away towards Soul. Will there be a steal?
Enzo, he's 2 levels down, gets picked back, and in the end, it's still just another chaos as Eminem able to find himself the first kill. Tack goes down low, Dragon resets, Cardis is just playing decoy. Shockwave lands on Malon, bullet time way late into the fight. K2 maybe wanted to use that a little bit earlier on. Unfortunately, not able to find anything in return. And just like that, Hong Kong Attitude, they take down Delulu as well as secure their first Dragon of the game.
Yeah, looking at Eminem's HP, it seems, again, he was left untouched, and there's not a lot of, like, most of the time, you would see either Renekton try to flank somewhere, but unfortunately, there was zero threats, and Ozzy had to walk back and forth, see whoever was in front, and see what he can do, but again, Eminem is the real threat in this whole composition, and there was, you know, no answer to that.
And it's rather hard to contest a Drake steal or any kind of objective steal. When you're Enzo right now, and he was 2 levels down, versing a Lee Sin with an execute on his Q. That's already a pretty bad time, and maybe the side of Berjaya could have realized, hey, you know what? It's only their first Dragon of the game. We can try and come back, because they're still waiting on these 2 item breakpoints for this Twisted Fate, as well as this Misfortune.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where even though, let's just say you've got your 2-item power spike or 3-item power spike on this Misfortune, there's always that question, will you be able to land a reliable bullet time in these 5v5s? And I feel like if you do, then that would be the next threat that Eminem has to watch out for if Ozzy is not able to find a flank, or maybe even Mawan cannot reach the backline.
Yeah, unfortunately for Malon, still actually opting out of going for the Sheen, so just saying, all right, I'll go Blasting Wand and just try and get a little bit more raw AP. Meanwhile, top lane, Moonblack is going to be able to pick up his first tower on top of the first tier tower in mid lane that was picked up earlier by the Rift Herald and the rest of the squad. Get some more gold onto that Orianna. It looks like opting to go into now his Morellos for his second item.
Yeah, absolutely. And meanwhile, Triforce completed already for Karthus. If he was annoying before, he's going to be even more annoying now, able to contribute a little bit there on towards the team fights even more. In the meantime, though, there's not a lot of objectives to take at the moment, so it is going to be the play on where perhaps HKA could see if they can find a pick, then they can make their way towards bot side, take out that outer tower, perhaps try to set up for a push in the side lanes before a new objective spawns.
We'll see here. You're getting really close to now that Infinity Edge being complete here for K2. Still playing a little bit of ping pong in the mid lane between both bot lanes. Is Holo even looking for possibly a flank here? Actually, that's Ozzy that might be able to find it. Pops the Dominus immediately. They realize, hey, team might be getting collapsed here as Berjaya are looking for a play. Moonblack, though, already nearby. So that should be enough to force Berjaya to have to back off. And that is both going to be, you know, the Destiny Gate as well as Ozzy's Dominus being popped here for a possible fight, and he already see HK, yeah, a little bit of BM saying thanks for it, but see, that's going to be the hook, and maybe they get a little bit too aggressive for their own safety, as still, though, Eminem doing just fine, and that is 3 members of HKA able to just push away Berjaya. Flank coming out from Karthus. There's your Shockwave coming out, catches out Delulu. Depth charge is going to be there. Unfortunately, not enough. Another great hook into the knockup. Mawon taken down. It's a double kill for Karthus.
Tack is on fire, is on point with his death sentences, and they all count. And again, Moonblack, I was absolutely, you know, scared for Berjaya as I saw Moonblack rotating from bot side to push the side lanes and then move towards the team fight, possibly see if they can do a pincer. And it worked out in their favor. No support, no Mawan. He does have teleport though, and you see Dragons really want to contest this one.
K2 does have his ultimate available. You're still only at 25% crit chance, so the damage may not be there. Over the wall they go. Bullet time is going to be used. A nice knockup from the Blast Cone, though. Able to disrupt it. Eminem almost got taken down, but in comes the rest of the squad for Berjaya. Baron is secured by Hong Kong Attitude. It looks like they'll be able to path up toward the top side of the map and escape.
And the consolation prize for the Dragons, it was a nice attempt, but at the same time, okay, they're gonna take the mid lane instead. But I feel like, you know, HKA can go back to lane in time to catch that wave towards that that inner tower in the mid lane. And meanwhile, though, 40 seconds on the clock. Berjaya Dragons has to reset. HKA, because they got the dragon, they managed to reset first. K2 does not have any mana to work with. Let's take a look at this again.
Yeah, because it all starts off with, you know, a flank coming out from
BM.
HKA. You know, you got the BM, you got the thumbs up, and they're like, all right, yeah, we feel like going for a fight. And it almost looks a little bit bad, but the fact is M&M is so far safe over toward the side that Berjaya realized that they have to play safe. Meanwhile, in your live feed, you even saw there, that was a quick pickup kill on the side of, again, Delulu, who, similar to this replay, gets caught out.
And then the secondary hook, too, a very important target, a very important champion as an answer towards M&M, just putting him in place. But unfortunately, 2 key targets are gone, 2 key engage champions are gone, and therefore had to rely on any sort of potential steal. But again, that blast cone play was just absolutely amazing.
Oh, that was actually Hollow, who stopped the bullet time from K2, so that's a little bit of miscommunication coming out from the squad here, it seems, between him and Berjaya. As meanwhile, that's also going to be the first tier tower in bot lane, as well as HK now finding their second Infernal Drake.
Yeah, the thing was, Eminem was absolutely close to his death. But yeah, it could be a miscommunication. It could be pressure that they wanted to use the blast cone to get in and maybe possibly do a smite steal. But yeah, unfortunately, it wasn't the case. Now HKA has full control, and now Destiny has been popped.
Destiny going to come out. They're going to maybe try and find this Wukong. But again, Cardis, he's a slippery one, and another Cyclone activation will get him back to safety. That's Domus popped by Ozzy, and now a hook going to land immediately onto Enzo. Depth charge does land on over to Eminem. Delulu has to go Golden Moonblack, though. Even has his ultimate still ready. Another hook comes out from Tak on this Thresh. Once again, Wildcard's able to get a little bit of damage from the Twisted Fate. Unfortunately, though, looks like Berjaya, they have to concede the rest of the fight, knowing that Ozzy just gets himself to safety with the help of K2's heal.
Unfortunately, you know, that positioning was a little bit awkward for the Dragons because they were inside their own jungle and K2 was left alone defending the base, trying to clear the waves. He wanted to contribute to the fight, but he had to go through HKA first before he can get to his team. And at the moment, that's still no Baron. Of course, that has been taken. And at the moment, it is Infernal Drakes on the side of HKA, and I feel like that's really going to help, you know, propel them even more.
Yeah, the way it's going, you're going to have a 4-stack Infernal Soul. That's going to be a little disgusting. Taking a look here, as they actually are able to find the pick here on the Cardis, and it looks like a possibly really good pick in trying to get rid of this Wukong, but he's just so slippery.
So slippery thanks to the Lantern too, so it really did save Cardis there. And again, it was at that point where HKA is like, okay, Berjaya has invested so much to try and kill Cardis. It is time to fight back. As you can see, K2 has been zoned by Moonblack all this time. So they lack that consistent damage dealer. They lack that possible, you know, playmaking bullet time in that constricted area. And therefore, you know what? The Dragons is unable to fight back.
And Tak so far on this Thresh, landing some nice death sentences in a couple of these previous fights. You see Cardis? Always hunting. Does he actually see him? Yes, he did for a quick sec. Unfortunately, the back will get off in time now, unable to get himself back to safety. Wukong won't be picking up a quick solo kill in the top lane, which, again, HKA. I said, you know what? If you wanted to show yourself at being one of the top teams in the league, you needed to absolutely dominate Berjaya, and they're on track to do so. Currently 0-12. You have full control of this map, and they're looking at possibly ending this game before 30 minutes if they get themselves another good team fight.
Yeah, absolutely. They're trying to just set up these side lanes, so they're trying to just wait it out, maybe wait for the next Infernal Dragon to spawn, maybe even the Baron, because right now the Dragons, despite having a really decent attempt to eliminate Cardis, make it a 4v5, that's a time they can fight back perhaps, but unfortunately, you know, vision will play a huge role in how they can try to take advantage isolated targets, and so far HKA has been winning the vision game so far.
do note, though, on the side of Berjaya, I was talking about earlier, they have now hit their 2-item breakpoint. You have that Lich Bane online for the Twisted Fate, and you have that 50% crit chance on the Misfortune. Malon just jumps into the middle of the fight, gets the stealth of gold card, but you can see Berjaya, they're so unsure if they want to go for any of these fights that they immediately back off from the teleport of Cardis.
Destiny out. Azzy still has his teleport at least, and again, because there's a lot of vision control over HKA, rather the jungle of the dragons, it just means there's a lot of options for HKA to just teleport and join in the fight. And again, they gotta eliminate targets swiftly, but unfortunately, that's Tack, not exactly the squishiest target in the group.
Yeah, and all honesty, it could have went a lot worse because Tack decided to actually go for the hook on Enzo instead of just going for the hook on Malon. And honestly, like, I haven't been able to really, pressure it a lot, but Malon, unfortunately, this Twisted Fate, I've not been too excited with his Destiny gates. They haven't looked all that great. And we barely saw him apply any side lane pressure or look for any dives alongside this Trundle during the early part of this game where Berjaya could have actually, tried to slow down Eminem on this Aphelios, try to get K2 ahead, or, try and pressure Cardis and allow Ozzy to be a little bit more of a carry threat on this Renekton.
Yeah, it feels like due to the fact that HKA has won an amazing team fight, I feel like, the Dragons sort of wanted to step back a little bit, but because of that, they weren't able to take advantage of this Twisted Fate pick, having to deal pressure on the side lanes, especially at bot side. Usually we see a lot of focus on bot side coming from Twisted Fate, but because, again, HKA had full control from the beginning. The Dragons, though,
Teleport is going to come out from that Renekton Tack, looking for the hook, not able to find it. Moonblack does have his ball and Shockwave available. HKA, though, willing to back off from the Baron, allow it to reset, still need to get Cardis in that mid lane to apply some pressure via the inhibitor towers, and force Berjaya to have to make a call here as once again HKA turn back toward the Baron.
Cardis has no teleport, but he's nearby anyways, as Berjaya Dragons wanting to push this wave instead. Enzo does have a feeling.
Enzo, unfortunately, he's 2 levels down. Even if he runs in there for the Smite Steal, he's at a disadvantage. Destiny Gate does find it on the Cardis, but if you keep trying to blow up this Wukong, it may not work out, but it finally does. Shutdown finally comes through as Berjaya find their first kill of the game and make it 2 here as the Misfortune has finally come online.
And that's what the Dragons is waiting for. And will you look at that? For the Dragons, it seems to me Baron will not be the call. They're going to opt to just try and push this mid lane, as that's still 20 seconds on the clock, as Dragon has spawned 2, which means they're going to be 1 point away to that Dragon Soul.
And so let's go back here. It's Cardis that's just, out mid lane applying pressure, and they decide, all right, if we can blow up this Wukong, we can maybe find ourselves an opportunity. Just do that, and luckily there's enough damage coming on through from Enzo on his ultimate.
Yeah, for Malon, again, he already has his Lich Bane, so it's just very, very painful already once you get that gold card, get that auto attack in. And as you can see, HK is starting this Baron again without Cardis just yet and Tack.
All right, so Cardis, he's making his way on over, but now you can see HKA, the decision-making almost feeling a little bit, pressured. And on top of that, too, they did lose out on that Infernal Drake that was available, so now Berjaya are actually at Infernal Soul Point on the next Dragon spawn. And HKA, they had this lead, but now starting to feel like they've kind of lacked a little bit of the decision-making that they had in the early game. Whereas now Berjaya, like we mentioned, 2 3-item power spikes coming online for some of these key members of their team composition. They'll be able to contest HK in these team fights.
Yeah, positioning-wise, if someone from HKA, especially Eminem, is caught out of position, Berjaya Dragons have a lot of tools to take advantage of that and punish that. HKA, are they going to be starting this again? I wonder. As Malon does not have teleport, he has Destiny.
Jumps on over. We'll see,
Third try.
Third time's the charm, it seems. Ozzy's still getting zoned away. A little bit late to the party is Berjaya, and Misfortune has packed up through the river. They get the hook, but unfortunately Tak is just going to get taken on down. Cardis looking for the wraparound, has ball available, but the pillar is able to stop him. Delulu will get taken down. It's just going to be that, though, a 1-for-1 of support.
Again.
And now HKA go back onto the Baron.
That's support without a support now for both teams. I'm scared. Ozzy's super low, though.
Mao on Shockwave, going to be used there by Moonblack without the Shockwave. Do they go for it? The Insect, though, gets Enzo down into the knockup from the Wukong, able to stop the Misfortune ultimate. Shutdown goes on over the Cardis, and like that, it's a double kill on top of it to Eminem, as that's now 4 members in the gray screen on the side of Berjaya, and Hong Kong Attitude not losing a single member as they take down the Baron.
Can I just say I was a little bit worried because HKA was a little bit separated. You know, Moonblack and Cardis was just around the corner, quite far away from Eminem. But what they wanted to do was wrap in the Dragons once they decided to go into the pit. And I feel like that's very, very smart. Mawan is unable to create impact once he arrived because he was zoned away by Moonblack.
And I was a little bit concerned because once I saw that Shockwave be used by the Orion, I was like, oh, that's one of your key components of your team fight on the side of HKA. But luckily, there's still that Cyclone for the Wukong that's able to help clean up.
Exactly. This is the wraparound that we were talking about. Moonblack, because of the terrain, it was so easy for Moonblack to switch positions from different entrances from that blue buff of the Dragons. And that ball was just a complete threat. And Mawan is forced to flash away. And therefore, just beautifully done by HKA, just jumping into the Baron and then turning in towards the Dragon.
And he saw on that Wukong one thing on his mind on the side of Cardis. Jump on that Misfortune. When she ults, you ult. There goes the damage on Berjaya. It just seems like there might be just a little bit too much CC for K2 to effectively use this champion at the moment. And that's another hook from Tak underneath the tower. Delulu gets caught out into a 2-man Shockwave. And now comes the Moonlight Visual. And Firm's going to burn them down. And K2 gets taken out as well. Holo able to find his kick. And Melon, he just gets himself back to the fountain. But HK are looking for the base.
And that's a lot of deaths and a lot of death timers, long death timers, as the Baron is slowly marching towards the base of the Dragons.
And we'll see now Hong Kong Attitude going 4-1, absolutely devastating Berjaya Dragons in a clean victory, 3-19. They may add a couple more on top of it. Nexus will fall, and HKA 4-1 here during the summer split.
HKA riding that field, riding that victory from PSG from the upset yesterday, and now has shown how incredibly strong they are coming into the summer.
Yeah, I'm absolutely shocked. I don't know if it's, start of season jitters for a lot of these other squads, that were doing extremely well back in spring, but meanwhile, HKA, okay, them and J-Team, not expecting them to be as clean as they have been playing as of late. And even taking down, some of those big members, like J-Team took down Machi, HK, they took down PSG yesterday, and they pretty much came into this game, dominated Berjaya Dragons, and clearly stated that was not a fluke. We are here to play for the championship.
It's amazing. I mean, top 1, top 2, defeated by 7th and 8th place from spring in the round robin. So that is a huge statement, just as you mentioned. And I feel like HKA, their confidence is slowly building after, week number 2.
Yeah. And now you're sitting 4-1 on the record. You don't have to play any more games. That's a 3-0 week they just had here in week 2. And honestly, a lot of these good team fights coming off this Oriana. Moonblack has been performing amazingly so far in summer.
Exactly, and the fact that, again, 2 out of 5 members were intact, and therefore the synergy seemed to be sort of unfazed at all, and it feels like they've been playing for a while. They've been playing since spring, and it's just very impressive as, they're opening week 1 and 2.
So with that, HK, under 33 minutes, able to take home the victory over Berjaya. And minus, the objectives that they seem to have lost control in the early game. Berjaya, I'll give them that. They were able to, secure the early Dragons. But other than those 3 kills and those couple Dragons, that was close to being a perfect game from HKA. I think it was a great performance from HKA. It could have been a little bit faster, but it was still clean.
Yeah, I love how HKA was just so laser focused on getting the Baron and just trying to bait out Berjaya, because that's how confident they were that they can take them on in a complete 5v5. And, you know, even having to kill the Baron with just 3 members is just a huge statement, again, in this match in particular.
Yeah. And for Berjaya, I have to really question now. The only victory they have been able to find was against Liab, really falling in line with what we said was their curse when it came to Spring, where they could only beat teams below them. Well, when you're 9th place, there's only one team below you, and you got to try and figure out something here fast if you want to try and start turning around your summer split. MVP is going to go on over to Moonblack on the Orianna.
A well-deserved MVP, a lot of key shockwaves, especially when it started at that Rift Herald take into Cardis' Cyclone. And yeah, for Moonblack, very impressed, can play the tank Fiddlesticks, but at the same time can play a very mean Orianna.
Yeah. I've been rather impressed so far with Moonblack. I was a little uncertain, you know, coming out from his performance we saw back on Alpha last year during the LMS. I was kind of like, you know, yeah, the stats aren't screaming that this is going to be a key carry member when it comes to this roster of Hong Kong Attitude, but has been able to prove us wrong. So congratulations on over to him, picking up, again, another MVP. And like I mentioned, HK, they kind of now go on a 3-0 record when it comes to their week 2 of the summer split, and they're looking on the fire.
Yeah, alongside with J Team 2, this is absolutely a topsy-turvy land in comparison to Spring.
Yeah, so we are, though, going to be taking a short break. When we come back, it is going to be Liab taking on Machi. We'll see if Liab, I'm going to say it right now, if they can find a miracle of a win up against one of our top squads of the PCS. We'll see how they try to adjust themselves heading into their next matchup. Stick around.
CTBC Bank is Taiwan's top financial institution, but we're not stopping there. We're crafting an international brand and already have over 260 outlets in 14 countries. We are by your side, ready to embrace the future.